away from it.
Yeah. All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll get the meeting held over at the moment of silence. Okay. First thing we need to do is approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Supported. Okay, motion was made and seconded to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Public comments, anybody from the public wish to speak at this time? Okay.
I just wanted to let you know, I think most of you know already, that I had a staff person leave without notice last week. And I would like to propose that that position be filled with a full-time position. The one who left was part-time. That would require a payroll change and would also require a special meeting, I believe. And I'd like to ask if you would set a meeting either tomorrow afternoon or Wednesday, anytime, so that we can visit about that and I could prepare appropriate notices or advertisements for that position.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Did the meeting?
Anytime works for me.
I do, and then we might want to talk tomorrow afternoon.
Wednesday morning?
We need 24 hours.
Yeah, we need 24 hours.
Yeah.
So.
You have to be posted in the morning.
Does that work?
Wednesday morning is 9?
9. What time Wednesday morning? 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock would be fine.
9 o'clock? Okay.
Any other public comments? Okay, close public comments.
Thank you.
Approve the minutes from November 6th and November 9th.
Move to approve?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from November 6th and 9th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Conservation report with Dave Sedgwick, please.
Morning, Dave.
Okay, first thing, we have closed Eagle Access Campground for the season. The Halloween bash thing we had in end of October went really well. Right now, we're revenue-wise about $1,000 up from the year before. This time of year was just kind of surprising considering how low the river was and the lack of available boating activities. Right now, the field staff they're busy. When I came down here, this county, there's a lot of things that we do well, but one thing they did really poorly was posting the boundaries of our properties and signing them. And so we've been spending money every year trying to get more signs and everything, so they've been out posting the boundaries. So by the end of, hopefully the end of this year, we'll be caught up and being where we're supposed to be. So that's been a priority of mine, so I'm glad to see that getting done. We're a few signs short, just ordered some more from Iowa Prison Industries, and hopefully we'll get that completed. Been working on the annual report, we'll have that ready. I'll get it approved by my board, the next board meeting, and get it to you in December. Then starting to work on budget planning, just normal stuff this time of year. And then one day with an ELC update of construction progress. So I'll say brought John Hanson from Midwest Construction in to give you the official update.
Morning.
Good morning, John.
So basically, just wanted to bring you up to date. Right now, the underground electric's been put in to the transformer pad. The footings are going in at this point in time. And grading's completed, underground electric starting, and also underground plumbing will be starting this week or the beginning of next week. Footings are approximately 90% complete, will be completed next week. The one thing that we've been working on, and everybody's been wondering what's been going on, is that the precast submittals have been completed. Between the precast and steel, that's the most critical point. So what they've been doing is reviewing dimensions, going back and forth with the architects, engineers, just to make sure everything's coming together and will fit together okay. So precast is scheduled to start going up about the third week of December. They're supposed to have the precast poured. And we're hoping to get steel approved, steel submittals approved, and that will be going up directly afterwards. So you'll see a lot of progress out there coming in the next couple of weeks. The progress is hard to see originally for the mere fact that you're going through this submittal process. And the original schedule indicated that we're going to be about 16 weeks getting this process done. But we should be able to get the precast up, continue through the winter, getting those items erected. One thing is that we have been reviewing different options and have come up with some design solutions. And right now we've issued approximately $90,000 in change order deducts without changing the programming. So I feel a lot more comfortable that we have sufficient contingencies going forward to make sure that the project stays within project budget guidelines. I guess I was here to answer any questions you may have.
Sorry, did you say the walls will be poured the third week of November or coming in?
They'll be poured and they pull them right out of the beds immediately.
Okay.
Within 4 hours. When they do that pre-stressed concrete, or precast concrete, amazingly enough, when they pour them, they pull those great big the pole panels out in 4 hours.
So they put them right on a truck.
They're gonna sandblast them. I wanna go up and, bring Dave down and then we'll go and make sure they're sandblasted to the depth we want. And then I'll start bringing them out and setting them.
So first of December, second week of December, probably start showing up here to get set up.
I would say by the end of December and January, you'll see the building. It'll only take about a week to set the panels. And then the steel will be coming right behind it because the steel has to hold the panels up. So.
And if you notice the scaffolding out there right now, the masons put the elevator shaft in. So you're finally getting to see some vertical
I saw
structure
that the
coming
other
up.
day.
Yeah. That's the whole building. It's an 8x8. No, I'm happy with the progress. I would have liked to have the panels sooner, but, the thing that I wanted to make sure that everything would fit together because when it came in. So we've been going back and forth with the architects and engineers just to make sure.
Okay, and then the last thing for me, for the inside of the building stuff, we sent out proposals to different display companies. The Conservation Board chose 3 companies that we're going to interview based on what their submittals were to try to do the displays and the projects for the Nature Center, the Learning Center. That'll be middle to end of next month is when we'll do the interviews. We'll decide who's going to handle the displays. And then I've been working with Tailor Made Fossils out of St. Louis with that Midwest One grant and working on getting the replica mammoth cast skeleton. That plan's going well. So stuff's moving for the inside of the building too.
Okay.
Okay. You guys have any questions? Feel free to give us a call.
That's, I know Tom Walling called me a while back and was wondering where you're at. Have you been in contact with Tom Walling at all from Cunningham?
Okay.
I didn't know. Next time he calls me, I'm gonna call John, see
Okay.
where they're at. He's kind of lining their work up and stuff, but, okay.
He's with Cunningham?
Cunningham, yeah, Tom Walling.
What are you doing for this project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've been in contact with Mike Vogt from Cunningham.
Okay, okay.
As well. Yeah,
Okay.
I met with him a couple weeks ago.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, I'm sure communicating, I guess.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Will be in, okay. Payroll change, Sheriff?
Thanks for putting me on the agenda. I wanted to talk to you gentlemen about the Sheriff's Reserve Unit. That unit came into existence in the 1960s. I think we're chartered for 42 or 43 members. Currently, our Sheriff's Reserve is down to, I believe it's 13 members. I'm doing what I can to get the unit turned around. They're a big support staff for us. They're a group of gentlemen we call on to assist us. And when I say trying to get it turned around, myself and 3 deputies are now certified reserve officer instructors for the academy. And we're going to be hosting a reserve deputy class this fall. I have, of the 13, I have 4 that are actually certified reserve deputies. I would like to use them to help cover vacations and sick time, that type of activity. As you know, we've got a long time, we have a deputy that's been on sick leave for an extended period of time. We're covering, but this would make it a lot easier if we can. I visited with some of the surrounding sheriffs who have very active reserves. I'll back up just a little bit. Our reserve, they put a lot of hours in a year at no cost to us. Any special event, we don't pay them for. But if we're using them to cover on patrol hours, I'd like to pay them, and I'd like to pay them $10 an hour. Even that is pretty cheap compared to the surrounding counties. The 2 I'm thinking of, Marion County and Keokuk County, they use theirs quite a bit. I mean, they use theirs weekly to help cover and to supplement their patrol shifts. I would like permission to do that. The non-certified guys I can't put out there on patrol. Once they're certified reserve deputies, they have all the enforcement power that a full-time deputy does, with the exception of the OWI laws. So if they're out on patrol and they would have to run across a drunk driver, they would have to contact one of his full-time guys to come in and process it, or a trooper, that type of thing. I don't anticipate changing the budget at all. At $10 an hour, it's not going to hurt that much. Even if you put 2 of them out there together, it's still cheaper than paying a full-time deputy overtime to work an 8-hour shift to cover for a sick shift or a vacation shift. I was telling you, we are certified instructors now. My letter to you indicates I anticipate next spring putting on at least another 4 or 5 certified guys. What I'm asking is that Sue be allowed to put them on the payroll as part-time or occasional employees. It wouldn't cost the county any more than it is now, because they wouldn't have benefits, insurance, that type of thing, because they're occasional employees. In Iowa, certified peace officers, certified reserve deputies are not allowed to pay into IPERS, that type of thing. It would just be an hourly rate. And I don't believe it would hurt my budget at all at this point. So.
Most of these guys already get paid for transports and that kind of stuff.
They get paid, right now, they currently get paid for transports. And I have actually used a couple of certified guys already earlier this summer on patrol coverage. Yeah, they get paid for transports and patrol, that would be it. You may remember here early spring, we had a death investigation out south of Beacon. We had to secure a residence for 3 solid days. They secured it throughout the night. That type of thing, they don't get paid for. They don't get paid to work special events unless the event promoter pays them. They don't get paid from me or the county. Right. Transports, they do get paid. It comes out of either mental health fund or the court fund. So.
When you say you come ahead in reserves?
I believe it's 13. We just lost another one last month. In 1987, because I looked into it in 87, and they were completely full. I think they're chartered for, it's either 42 or 43. And they, at that time in 87, they actually had another waiting list of 8 individuals who were in line to get on the sheriff's reserve. Back then, it wasn't a reserve, it was the sheriff's posse. So that we're down to, I believe, pretty certain it's 13. I challenged the full-time staff to go out and recruit members for the sheriff's reserve. I think currently we have 5 that have signed up, and we'll be going through the classes this winter.
When did those start, Russ?
We haven't got them scheduled yet. I'm
Okay.
anticipating, I wanted to let harvest get done because several of them are farmers. I'm anticipating, Mark, sometime after the first of the year.
So you take one class and get them all through all of the trainings?
A complete group of them.
Okay.
The training's pretty well.
Extensive.
It's very extensive.
Yeah.
There's several training sessions, and it involves online tests through the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy. Typically, if you will, look at it this way, the reserve deputies, they have a passion for law enforcement, but they might be a little smarter than some of us. They know they can make more money elsewhere. They're a great help. They're a great help for us. I don't know that we could get, I know there's a couple of them that would go out and patrol for nothing. Don't know if that's the right thing to do because of the liability you put them into. The 4 names I gave you on the letter there, I've known them all for years and years, I trust them all. And this incoming group that we're going to be training, at this point, I trust each and every one of them also. If I didn't trust them or my staff didn't trust them, I wouldn't be asking to put them on the payroll.
There's 13 in reserves. Are these the only 4 that are certified right now?
Yeah, that's the only 4 that are state certified through the academy. The others either chose not to, there's not failed the testing. Several of the former posse members, they had no interest in becoming a certified reserve deputy, but they're still a posse member. They can still help us direct traffic, they can help us with the county fair, the races, that type of thing.
So that's what I'm saying, the other 9, not all 9 definitely want to be certified then?
No. Those 4,
Is there some of the 9 that are certified?
there's one currently working on it, but he's not on that list
Okay,
there.
okay.
I can't,
No, I
if
just
they're not
curious.
certified, I cannot put them out on patrol by themselves.
I was just curious how many of the remaining 9 had the interest in becoming.
There's one other who's going through the testing right now.
Okay.
And then we have another group, I believe there's 5 at least already that are signed up. They have to go through the hiring process, if you will. They have to be accepted by the board and by the entire membership
To become a posse in
to
reserve?
become a reserve member, and then they will start the classes to become a certified reserve deputy.
We're good insurance-wise, I would assume. Sue? Yeah.
Okay. These are just be part-time, they haven't been considered,
I call them occasional employees. They're not like a part-time jailer. We have part-time jailers who, are scheduled. This is a situation where, well, here's a good example, although we wouldn't be using these, well, I guess we could, but we're having a little trouble with coverage the first week in December, just between vacations and sick leave. First week in December is going to be expensive for us to get it covered from an overtime standpoint. I'm not looking at this strictly from a fiscal standpoint. Those 4 names there, if it was a situation where I didn't know them or I didn't trust them, I would be sitting here asking you to do this. Because I'm not going to put anybody out there I don't trust. But yeah, I prefer occasional employees, not part-time, but, what you will. They'd be on standby, you might say. Be a situation where, let's just say, if you approve this today, I'm going to get a hold of the president of the Sheriff's Reserve and say, December 3rd, we got a major shortage. Can we get a couple guys to help cover that? Full-time deputy Jesse Sanders is our liaison. He's their our full-time immediate supervisor for them, of course, me and the chief deputy are supervisors for them as well.
Do you see this becoming a full-time sheriff's position, deputy position?
You mean, will these guys be coming
Yes.
after it? A lot of sheriff's office use their reserve unit as a recruiting.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that we've got 9 or 10 deputies now. Do you see these part-time positions saying now we need 15 deputies instead of 10?
No, I thought you were getting at it, we're gonna eliminate.
Yeah,
one
no.
part-time.
Well, we can do that too.
Well,
I'm just-
no, you can't, not if you read the code of Iowa. Not to be argumentative, really, but you can't.
I'm just gonna look ahead down the road
it's
5
not
years
gonna-
and say, hey, we got this many occasional guys, now we just want to call them a required position.
I don't see that happening because I'm hoping, that's the reason I'm trying to strengthen my sheriff's reserve, so I don't have to come to you guys in 3 or 4 years and say, I need more help.
No, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. That's right, that's right.
No, I'm not gonna come back in a year from now and say, you know what, we've had these 4 guys have worked 2,100 hours, we really need to buy it or put on another full-time deputy.
For 2 or 3.
I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah, no, I like the thought of this, if we can keep the schedule.
Excuse me.
Will you employ the field training officer program that you said that was a really good program to train officers with these guys, kind of the same as what you did with Oskaloosa?
Those four gentlemen, they've all been a long time. You know, one of them is the president. One of them is the training coordinator for the Sheriff's Reserve, who's, I won't say personal friends, but he's very close with Laura Bolzinga up at the academy. These guys don't need field training. They have ridden thousands of hours because they're longtime members. The younger guys that we're bringing in this spring or this winter, yeah, they may need a field training, but that's all built into the, in addition to the requirements for the academy. We require so many hours of ride time with the full-time deputies that take a formal field training program. I don't know that they would have the time being employed full-time elsewhere. So.
Okay. I was just wondering, because when we had talked before, you had said that the academy gives you, you know, kind of the nuts and bolts, but that training program that
Your
you say
on-the-job training
was
is much more important than you're ever going to learn from the
very
academy.
good.
I make a motion to add John Holmes, Mark Rhoda, John Doty, and Jim Arment as occasional employees of the Sheriff's Department.
$10 there.
At $10 an hour.
I'll second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And I anticipate coming back next spring or summer with a longer list.
That you use.
Yeah, similar to this. Thank you.
When's the red suit coming on?
I told you, I'll tell you that story later. This is a charity fundraiser if any of you 3 are interested in donating.
I don't get that color.
Color, brown, just like my hair, ain't it?
Secondary road payroll change. Come on up, Dave.
You guys share suits too, or what?
Yeah. Brown, we went through and looked, we were short a couple of guys, and after meeting with you we got permission to. So we have 2 people that, 2 gentlemen that I would like to get hired. One is a motor grader operator, which his name is Jacob Bell. He's a Navy veteran. He has worked in the Seabees, which he has some construction background. And the other one is Andrew Rust, would be a truck operator, and he has quite a bit of miles on a truck in all different type of weather in being that he would most likely have Barn City route, have one of the toughest routes to cover. Being that his father works there, I did go through all that. He does not supervise by his father, so according to page 9 of the county manual, we look to find the best people for it, as long as they don't supervise each other, which would not be the case in this situation. So I'd like to make a recommendation to you to approve the hiring of Jacob Bell and Andrew Rust. It's at 90% of their salaries. I don't have the sheet with me. I left it on the office on my desk, but Mr. Bell would be at $22, 90% of $22, which is $19.89, and Mr. Rust would start at 90% of $21.87 or $19.63 an hour, with the 6-month probation period.
For the hiring?
You're gonna fill in the blanks.
Mr. Rustin.
Andrew Rust in 1963,
Been moved and seconded to approve the payroll change submitted by Dave from Secondary Roads. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Let's jump down to 11 and 12 while we're here. One was Dave, we'd had a talk earlier on about the 2080 agreement with the DOT for shared facility for storage. They kicked that out, evidently the bids came back a little bit higher than what they
Yeah,
thought.
the first, and this is the second go around, and they're still, I believe, higher than what they talked to us about this spring. And their biggest cost was the pouring of the asphalt flooring on it, which added a lot to the cost of it. So their estimate is $291,000, or the bid price was $291,340, of which we would be responsible for 30% of that.
31. Was it 31%?
Well, they had 30 on here.
30.
Was it 30?
Yeah.
Yes, the 31.
The city has 11, county's 30, and
Okay.
the DOT has 59,
Okay.
which would allow us to store up to 1,050 tons of salt material at that facility.
Okay. All right.
So it'd come out to about 90-some thousand for us.
We need it, I guess.
We had looked at going to our own building one on site, which would eliminate having to measure all the loads when we pick them back up there. But we had agreed with them initially to go along with building a shed, which was at a lot lower dollar last spring. And the gentleman that was in charge of it retired, so it kind of sat for a while. The bids came back in quite a bit higher. So they refined, I guess, the design a little bit and relet it, and this is the price they came out with. So we either have the option of not signing it and looking at building our own, or building our own, or going along with this and having it, and keeping the same procedure we've been using in the past.
What's your recommendation of those two?
I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to get, especially when you put asphalt in, you know, for your flooring on it, I don't know if you're gonna get it any cheaper. I would save us some, because we wouldn't have to always weigh the trucks when we get salt from there. It does slow us down some, but it is worked fairly well. It's a large site, easy for somebody to get in and out of.
You can transfer salt after the fact, because you don't have to do it during a storm most of the time. You're at enough storage.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think doesn't work better too, you got 3 entities using it, so it keeps the salt.
Yeah, and you don't get the salt builds up, and so it's always easier where you can get more salt being used all the time because it doesn't cake up inside. There's humidity and moisture, and that'll always get in there, and you get, and they break it up for us, so we're not breaking it up with the loaders, trying to break up the salt clumps. So there's a lot of advantages that way too.
All right. What do you think?
Move to approve the 180 agreement with the DOT
Support.
for shared facility.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to execute the 20E agreement with the DOT for shared facility. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Act on a request for use of the Truex County Shop Building. So we got a request to use from a private individual to use the county shop building at Truax. Doing a little bit of investigation, we find that there's another group using that facility, the 4-H, I think, is using it currently for their meetings and those kinds of things. We don't have a policy regarding facility rental or usage as far as that goes.
Most of our facilities wouldn't host too much of anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
The one thing about it is if you open this up to allow for that, say a group wants to have a party or something else and there's alcohol involved. Right now, it's only used by the 4-H, and it's only used by the election committees when they have voting down there. So you don't have that type of situation, and that would be my only concern.
Yeah. Well, when you introduce food, you know, you're serving food, there are other requirements, I think, from the state.
State for, you know, cleanliness and the sanitation of the facility.
There's some liability, I guess, that gets introduced at that point. That's as far as I know.
I guess I'd be surprised if there's liability on our part if they're bringing it all in. I don't know.
It's on our property.
I didn't know anything about it. I called Debbie Thursday, and she lives right next door, she said. And her whole family's coming in. She just looking for a place to meet. So I told Debbie to put it on the agenda so we can talk about it. I didn't know how often these requests came about. I didn't know nothing about all this stuff. Debbie didn't know.
Yeah, we haven't had the request.
So I thought this is the only way to get anything accomplished.
I look at it as I'd rather not start that.
That's what I'm saying, if we do start, I think we need to have Jim set straight, get a policy set up for what the rent's gonna be, what's allowed, what's not allowed, what the time is gonna be. If you'll get into it, then you need to have some kind of policy. So,
I think we need to have that done anyway, the 4-H's meeting in there, just to lay out some criteria, because I do believe once you get into the, particularly alcohol or food consumption out of our building, we're not serving it personally, but it's happening in our property. There's going to have to be some hold harmless clauses in there and that kind of stuff. And we'd have to check into like what Bradbury Hall does when they rent theirs out. And so we're kind of new to this business, and so I think, Jim, if we want, even if the 4-H is meeting in there, we're probably going to need to develop some kind of policy, but I think for this one, I don't know. They think we should just say that we're not gonna allow anybody to use it anymore until we have a policy in place.
I move to deny this request for the use of the Truax County Shop.
I'll second.
you know, I just wanted out in the open so we had to talk about, because I didn't know, because I called Debbie and said we have a policy, so
We don't have a policy, and this probably being only a one-time thing.
probably.
But
I just thought we needed to talk about it.
Yeah, we did.
I didn't have permission to tell Debbie yes or no by myself,
Yeah.
but.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Motion.
Second?
I second that. Motion's been made and seconded to deny the request. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. The motion carries. Did I skip you on anything else, Dave?
No, I just have some information that I wanted to share with you
Okay.
on the,
Just a minute, Dave. Can I interrupt for a minute? While we're on this topic, and I'm not sure we can legally take action today, but should one of us go ask Jim to set up a policy in case in case this other stuff comes
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, we can do that. Then just put it on the agenda to approve.
And then that protects us for liability on us going on anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. Sorry, Dave.
what I have here is some information on where the wind tower project is trying to wrap up. And so I have a list of what we are looking at billing them for damage to the highways and stuff. This sheet here would have the crossing, the cost of the crossing. I might have sent that all to you, I'm not sure. And the other is for the haul road agreement, the crack filling, if we can get it agreed here in the next couple of days. They will send us a check for it if we agree to it. So if we could, you know, if we need to reschedule another meeting or what have you to do this. And this is for some of the damage to the roads that weren't in the haul road agreement. And with the fact that we had overlaid pavements, it's very difficult to come up with a lot of other costs. So that's something that I've been working on quite a bit this summer, trying to come up with those numbers to see where we're at on that. But it's just for information, and if we would like to have another meeting, we'd advertise and put it in there. We were trying to get the crack filling done this fall if we could, keep the moisture and the salt from getting into it. It depends on what the weather does, because it'll take about a week or so to do that. So if we decide to do that, they decide it's okay, they're paying for it, we'll pay the company to do it, then they will reimburse the county for it.
Okay.
you don't necessarily need us to approve you sending in this bill, though, do you?
Well, the board is in order to get the release of the haul road agreement,
Okay.
the board has to sign it.
We can do that on Wednesday morning, if you want it on the agenda Wednesday morning.
I would like to if we can.
Okay,
All right.
we'll do that.
And if I have the signed copy of the salt shed, I can give that to the city because they want it signed, send it back to the state.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, approve disallowance of business property tax credit claims. Two of them?
Two of them that the assessor has recommended be disallowed. They're multi-residential.
Move to approve to disallow. The two claims that you have.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the disallowance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approve and execute amendments to agreement for private development with the Welder Shield LLC and Co-Line Welding Incorporated in Northwest Urban Renewal Area. Want to explain it a little bit for the public, so I can have your words instead of mine?
This is an amendment with for private development that was done back in 2015, setting up an urban renewal area in northwest Mahaska County. And we need to do an amendment to that as the project is partially done and partially assessed right now, and we need to freeze the base at January 1 of 16. And with the assessor already having put on part of the project, we need to go ahead and get the agreement set up with them so that they're okay with it. Otherwise, it would have to been 100% assessed before we certified debt and started the frozen base. So
it's been partially assessed, and to be able to freeze January when we need to approve this now. Okay.
and they've already signed it for their part, so
Okay.
they're in agreement with it.
Okay.
Move to approve the amendment to the agreement with private development with Coline Welding.
Support. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve and execute the amendment to the agreement for private development. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. We have a resolution 2017-21 authorizing advancement of costs for an urban renewal project. Certification of expenses incurred by the Mahaska County for payment under Iowa Code Section 403.19. I think that's the second part of it.
All right, this goes along with that, so that this is certifying that you're going to request some of the costs that we've already had with the legal within this project, and that will start the clock then when we certify the debt, and we'll be able to freeze the base in January.
Okay.
So that's what this will do.
Okay.
Move to approve resolution 2017-21.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We need to appoint members to the Mahaska County Solid Waste Commission. We have to do this by November 30th every year. For this particular commission and board, we do the rest of them in January. But according to their, I think it's their 2080, that it requires that it be done by November 30th. Peggy Wright, John Jacobs, Alan DeBryan, and Mark, our representative, our current representatives, and have all agreed to serve another year.
Correct. So I appoint the 4 members to represent on the Mahaska County Solid Waste Commission again for another year.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to reappoint these 4 to the Mahaska County Solid Waste Commission for discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports.
No.
The thing I really have is we had a lot of vacancies over at the chamber building. MCDG has now employed a new director. We have a new director for the Chamber of Commerce. We have a new Main Street director. We have a administrative staff that's working there as well. And so they're all full. All those positions are full and they're up and going. We had a first meeting from the 4 entities got together. The leadership chair and vice chair of all those groups got together and started to do some forward-looking progress, and going to meet quarterly and have reports and try to move towards some getting some good collaboration going between those 4 groups. So that looks pretty encouraging. It was a good, I thought, a really good meeting. And on mental health, we're submitting the legislature passed down some legislation that we have to spend down some dollars. We had to develop some programs. We had a task force that came together between providers and law enforcement, hospitals, community mental health centers, all came together to identify some expanded core services. Out of that came an ACT team, mostly emergency, 23-hour crisis beds. We have crisis stabilization already. We've got some RFPs going out for that. So there's a lot going on in mental health that will be expanding into this region over the next couple of months. So we're already starting on the RFPs to address the shortage. But other than that, nothing on committees. You guys good? Okay, open it up for public comments again. Anybody from the public wish to speak at this time? Not, we'll close public comments. It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.